You know that moment when everyone's too happy too early? Yeah, that was my office last week. We were doing Secret Santa, and honestly, I didn't even remember signing up for it. But there I was, standing in a circle with a cup of coffee, pretending I knew what was happening. Someone said we had to draw names, and I thought, okay, easy. We use draw when we take something from a box or hat, like in a game. So I reached in and I got the name Sarah. You know that quiet person who always looks like she's solving real problems while you're just thinking about lunch? That's her. I tried to keep cool. Yeah, keep cool means stay calm when you're not. But inside, I was already panicking. I mean, what do you buy for someone you've never talked to? Not too personal, not too boring. It's a trap. Someone asked if I was excited. I smiled and said, totally. That fake confidence moment. We say totally when we want to sound sure, even if we're not. And trust me, I was not. When the meeting ended, I told myself I'd figure it out later. To figure out something means to find a solution, but only after some overthinking. Yeah, that's my method. I sat at my desk, staring at the paper with Sarah's name. I tried to come up with an idea. That's how we say think of something in English, but it sounds a bit more active. Nothing. Blank. My brain just left the chat. So I decided to look her up online. Look up means to search for information. It sounds normal until you realize you're basically internet stalking your coworker. But hey, it's for a good cause, right? When I found her profile photo, her with a cat and a mug that said, "Don't talk to me before coffee," I smiled. Maybe we weren't that different after all. Okay, so here's the thing. I thought buying a gift would be easy. You just pick something, right? But no. The moment I opened my laptop, I fell into a black hole of top 100 Secret Santa ideas. Spoiler, none of them helped. I tried to pick out a few options. We use that when we choose something from a group. But everything looked weird. Mugs with cats, socks with jokes, candles that smell like forest rain. What even is that smell? After 30 minutes, I started to scroll through gift lists like a zombie. Scroll through means to move your screen down again and again without really seeing anything. My brain was melting. Then I saw this phrase, "for coworkers you barely know." Perfect. That's literally my situation. But the ideas were so random. One was a motivational rock. A rock! I almost laughed out loud. I needed to come across something special. That's when you find something by accident. But nothing came. So I opened another tab, and another, and another. At this point, my laptop was judging me. I tried to narrow down my options. We say that when we make the list shorter. But honestly, everything just looked the same. Candles, mugs, plants. Repeat. I could feel myself giving up. Then my roommate texted me, "Just get something funny." Funny? Yeah, because embarrassing myself at work is totally my vibe. We say totally when we agree, but also not really. I closed my laptop, took a deep breath, and told myself I'd go out tomorrow and look for something real. Go out here means leave the house. Not like go out on a date, though. That would have been way more fun. And for the first time that night, I smiled. Maybe I just needed to touch the gift before buying it. Make it feel a bit more human. The next morning, I walked into this tiny shop near my apartment. It smelled like cinnamon and coffee, and there were fairy lights everywhere. You know that cozy feeling when everything looks like a Christmas movie? Yeah, that. I started to look around. That means to explore or check things without rushing. There were candles, mugs, notebooks, even socks that said Boss Lady. I picked one up, laughed, and put it back. Definitely not for Sarah. Then I saw a candle that said, "You're doing great." Simple, sweet, and just the right kind of cheesy. I decided to pick it up. We say that when we take something with our hand, but it can also mean choose. It felt right. I wanted to think over the message. Think over means to consider something carefully before deciding. It wasn't just about the candle. It was about giving something that might make her smile on a bad day. I walked to the counter to pay for it. We use pay for when we talk about giving money for something specific. The woman at the register smiled and said, "That's a lovely one." I felt like I passed some secret Christmas test. Then she asked if I wanted to wrap it up. That means to cover it nicely with paper, like a gift. Of course I said yes. She tied a red ribbon, and suddenly the whole thing looked way more magical. Before leaving, I decided to add on a small note. That means include something extra. I wrote, "You're doing great, even on Mondays." Cute, right? Maybe a little too real. As I stepped outside, snowflakes started to fall. I took a deep breath, feeling calm for the first time in days. Sometimes the right thing just finds you when you stop trying too hard. The room turned into total holiday chaos, the fun kind. Everyone was laughing, unwrapping boxes, shouting names across the room. I just stood there for a second, soaking it all in. You know when something feels so simple but kind of perfect? Yeah, that. Someone opened a box with taco socks, and we all burst out laughing. That means laugh suddenly and really hard. My stomach actually hurt. A second later, Jake cracked up at his own joke. Crack up means laugh so much you almost cry. And somehow that made everyone laugh even more. I started to look around. Look around means check what's happening near you. And the view was pure joy. Mugs, candles, weird toys, and so many smiles. Even the serious people were giggling like kids. Then I grabbed my phone. Grab is when you take something quickly, and snapped a photo. It wasn't perfect, but it caught everyone mid-laugh, and that's what I loved. Across the room, Sarah waved at me with the candle in her hand. She said she'd already lit it once during a boring Zoom call. I looked up and smiled. Look up means raise your eyes. And I swear, for a second, I forgot this was the same office where we complain about coffee every morning. I sat back in my chair, that's how we say relax, and just watched the lights reflecting in people's eyes. It felt like the room itself was smiling. And I realized something, small but true. These silly little gifts somehow bring people together. We say that when something makes people feel close, even if they weren't before. And honestly, that tiny bit of togetherness felt like the real gift. When it was finally my turn, I took the box with my name on it. It was light, small, and kind of mysterious. The dangerous combination. Everyone started to gather around. That means come closer to watch something. And I suddenly felt like the main character in a comedy I didn't sign up for. I peeled off the wrapping paper slowly. Peel off means remove something in small pieces, like a sticker. Inside was a plain brown box. I opened it, and there it was, a tiny plastic cactus. It started to move, then it started to sing, loudly. Everyone burst out laughing. That means they all laughed at the same time, like an explosion of joy. I froze for a second, holding that dancing cactus, and then I couldn't help it. I joined in. Join in means start doing what others are doing, and right then, laughing felt like the only option. Jake shouted that it was the best gift of the year, and I honestly agreed. It was ridiculous, but in the best way. The cactus was wiggling to a pop song, and I held it up like a trophy. Hold up means lift something so people can see it. Everyone cheered. Even Sarah came over, laughing so hard she almost dropped her candle. I told her this thing was going straight to my desk. She said it would make our Monday meetings a lot more fun. Fair point. I set it down on the table. That means put something gently somewhere, and just watched it dance. For a second, the whole office was clapping to its silly beat. It was pure, stupid joy. And you know what? That weird little cactus had something real about it. It wasn't expensive or fancy, but it made everyone smile. Sometimes that's all it takes to turn a normal day into something you'll actually remember. When the music finally stopped, everyone was still smiling. The room felt lighter, like we'd all just shared a secret joke. I looked around, that means to check the people or things near you, and noticed something. Even the quiet ones were laughing. The ones who usually hide behind screens were talking like old friends. Sarah came over and gave me a nod. Give a nod means to move your head slightly to show thanks or respect. She said the candle was perfect, and I told her the cactus totally won the day. We both laughed again, that real kind of laugh that just happens when you stop pretending. As people started to pack up their stuff, pack up means collect your things to leave, I watched everyone moving slowly, like nobody wanted the moment to end. The office, usually full of emails and deadlines, suddenly looked warm. Jake walked by my desk. Walk by means pass near someone, and said, "You're keeping that cactus forever, right?" I told him it had already found a home. It was sitting next to my keyboard, still smiling with its plastic face. I sat down, that's how we say take a seat, and watched the lights blink on the tiny fake tree by the window. Everything looked a little softer. You know, I always thought gifts were about stuff, but sitting there, I realized they're really about people, about the thought behind the thing. That silly cactus somehow brought us together. We use that when something connects people, and that connection stayed long after the laughter stopped. I turned off my computer, took one last look at the cactus, and smiled. It didn't sing anymore, but the silence somehow felt full. When everyone finally left, the office felt strangely quiet. I stayed for a minute, just sitting there with the cactus still on my desk. The lights were dim, and the smell of coffee and wrapping paper was everywhere. I looked down at it. Look down means turn your eyes toward something lower, and the little green thing just stood there, frozen mid-dance. I couldn't help but smile. I thought back to the morning. Think back means remember something from before. All the noise, the laughter, the mess. It felt like days ago, not hours. Funny how fast joy fills a room and then disappears. I picked up the cactus. Pick up means lift something with your hand, and turned it on again. The song started playing quietly, a little off-key, but somehow perfect. I laughed, all by myself this time. Then I looked over at Sarah's desk. Look over means direct your eyes towards something, and saw the candle glowing faintly. It made the room look warm, like it didn't want to let go of the day either. I leaned back in my chair, just breathing for a moment. Lean back is when you move your body backward to rest or relax. And for the first time, I didn't feel tired, just peaceful. I realized something small but true, that people can surprise you when you least expect it. That one silly game had made us talk, laugh, and actually see each other. It's kind of magic, isn't it? So I turned off the cactus, put it beside my monitor, and whispered, "Good job, buddy." Turn off means stop something from working, but somehow, even quiet, it still felt alive. I grabbed my coat, switched off the lights, and left with that warm feeling only people can give, the kind that doesn't fade when the music stops.